Welcome to Scorched Earth and a general reading for the sign of Virgo, Sun, Moon and Descendant for the month of October. I hope you're well. I'm using the Llewellyn Tarot today. So, let's give it a good shuffle. And let's see what's going on with you. So, can I have 3 cards for Virgo, please? 3 cards for Virgo. Ooh, there's the first one. It's the King of Pentacles in reverse. Two of Wands in your current energy, and shuffle these around. What's coming towards Virgo, please? Oh, that was quick. The Sun. I like this. I like it. Oh, I'll show you why I like it in a second. We've got the Queen of Cups at the bottom of the deck, followed by the 6 of Pentacles. Right, what deck do I want to use to clarify? I knew it was you. Right, using the Commonplace Tarot to clarify. Why is the King of Pentacles in reverse here? Please. Why is the King of Pentacles in reverse? Oh, here we are. Page of Swords. What are these? Multiple cards down here. 4 of Wands and Ace of Pentacles. Interesting. Why is the 2 of Wands with Virgo, please? Eight of Cups. And the Knight of Wands. It's a card of Sagittarius. Tell me about the Sun, please. Why is the Sun here for Virgo? Oh, we've got the Knight of Swords and the King of Swords. That's interesting. Quite a spread here. At the bottom of the deck here, we've got the Page of Cups, followed by the Page of Pentacles, actually. So we've got the Queen and the Page down there. Right. I feel like I may pull another card or 2 for this, but we'll see how it goes. So in your recent past, what you have is the King of Pentacles, right? But he's in reverse. Now, this way up, it talks about responsibilities. It talks about duties, actually. But this card indicates a provider. This is somebody who shows up when they need to and takes care of often material circumstances, but others as well, because the Pentacles suit covers all resources, energetic or otherwise. It's a very strong card. It's a card of Taurus, and it's somebody who's made a plan and is kind of sticking to a plan because they know that they're guaranteed a particular result if they take no shortcuts and keep moving this way. Now, if this was a person, I would be quite alarmed by the fact that it turns up in the upright, because then we're talking about somebody who's completely obsessed with, things of a material nature, status, wealth, that kind of thing, with very little room in their life for anything else. But because it's turned up for you, I feel like it's more energetic. I don't feel like it's a person, although it might be. And I feel like for you, it feels like the lack of a plan. It's felt like you haven't had a plan, right? And all of the earth signs, they like to work to some degree or another, to some sort of script, right? Tried and tested methods that they know will get them where they want to go, right? None of you are particularly inclined to take shortcuts, and Virgo, because you tend to overanalyze everything, you're about the least likely to take shortcuts. Well, not the least likely, but certainly very unlikely to do so. And it feels like you've been a bit lost recently. Like the drive has been there to do something, but I feel like you haven't really known what it is that you're to do. I feel like you've been, to a degree, on a path that you've never travelled before, right? And to that end, you don't have a map. You don't know where you're going. You don't know what the plan is. Just kind of been wandering around, trying to provide, trying to show up for yourself, trying to show up for others, but kind of losing energy and focus somewhere along the line, because that future goal that you want to move towards seems to be kind of shifting almost the more effort that you've put into it. Now, the cards that came out to clarify that, first off with the Page of Swords there, and then the Ace of Pentacles and the 4 of Wands. And I feel like there's been a bit of a shift in your thinking. right? There's the Four of Wands is foundation, right? It's home. It's wanting to create some sort of foundation for yourself. And combined with the Ace of Pentacles as it is here, there's that urge to start again. You know you want to plant some sort of seed that is eventually going to end up in something foundational, stable, strong, secure for you. But you've realised that there's some thinking that you've had that you've needed to, frankly, spear through, right? You know that there's something about your thinking that's been slightly off here. You shut this window just in case the traffic starts getting ridiculous. So maybe this is a knowledge that you've needed to change the way that you've thought about something, or maybe you just did change the way that you think about something. I'm going to pull another card for that specifically, because that kind of makes sense to me there. I think there's also an element of, I'm trying to find the right word. It's not exactly resentment, but it's coming somewhere close to that. It's a frustration. It's a vexation about the fact that you even need to do it in the first place. That kind of comes through a little bit, and whether that's a large part of what you're feeling or a small part, it is nevertheless present. And that's possibly why your energy hasn't been quite as focused on creating the path for yourself and thinking creatively about how you're going to get to this thing. Because there's a bit of resistance there somewhere. Like, why do I even have to do this in the first place? This is unfair. Yeah? Tell me about this Page of Swords, please. Page of Swords. Ten of Swords in reverse. Yeah. It's a resistance to the ending that has caused the need to start again in the first place, right? There's a lack of acceptance there, and it doesn't feel like it's an all-encompassing, completely filling up your mind kind of resistance. It feels like a low-level energetic resistance to an ending, right? So while you may intellectually understand that something has ended and it is necessary now for you to start again, this resistance is kind of stopping you from focusing all your energy on planting that seed there and pulling your new foundation into existence. Sorry about the Page of Swords. Anything else for that? Yeah. Cards the wrong way around. We've got the Three of Wands there, and that's an action card, right? But there's a resistance to action. It's almost like intellectually, that there's a certain order that you do things. But like I said, this frustration is kind of sitting there, and it's just like, why do I even have to fucking do this in the first place? Now, just noticed that the Nine of Swords is at the bottom of the deck as well, right? This has been bothering you. This has been antagonizing your mind in some way. Now, when we come to your present energy, what we've got is the Two of Wands, and this is crossroads energy, right? You have hit a crossroads now. It is possible for you to continue the way that you have been going, but if you do that, you are no longer going down a straight path. You have chosen, a direction. And I feel like you kind of know this. You kind of hit there and you're like, right, I either carry on the way that I'm going and I turn left, or I start trying to change things and I turn right. It's clarified by the Eight of Cups and the Knight of Wands, right? Now I know for I was actually just referencing this in a different signs reading. I can't even remember whose it was. I might actually have been Sagittarius's. Sagittarius and Virgo were mirroring each other quite a lot at the beginning of this year, and I know that there were a few of you for whom there had been some sort of separation, whether it was, a divorce separation or friends separation, something like that. So it could be that you see now that the path is not just walking physically away from this Sagittarius, but it's about energetically walking away from the Sagittarius, and for some of you, you haven't really done that. Or, and this is you know, applicable if you don't have a Sagittarius around that you've been dealing with. The turning of the corner involves leaving behind all of the emotions that are associated with whatever it was that ended, right? And endeavouring to be more present. Because there's some... It feels a little bit like you've been leapfrogging the present. You've been stuck between this tie to the past, which is then informing all of your planning about the future, or all of your thoughts towards the future, and tinging them with some degree of fear, quite a lot of fear actually. But because you're doing that, you're kind of leapfrogging the present altogether, right? And the only way that you can see the future is difficult. This is probably where the seat of the resistance is to letting go of this and starting the work to create this new life for yourself. Right? I'm going to pull a couple more cards. What about the Knight of Wands? Death. It's a card of Scorpio. Eight of Pentacles. Yeah. Two of Pentacles at the bottom of the deck. I feel like this is validating the road that I was wandering down here. Death is a card of transformation. It is things changing beyond recognition, right? It's a transformation from one state into another. And I think the crossroads that you've hit is that point where you know things have to change now, right? The resistance that you've been feeling to the change, you've managed to keep up quite well, but now you see it's time to put the work in, right? That Ace of Pentacles isn't going to turn into anything without this. And I feel like you've been kind of on autopilot. You've been going through the motions, but your heart hasn't been in it. And it's time for it to change. You know it's time for it to change. And it has to change in the present. It can't change anywhere else. It doesn't matter how much you go over this old situation, this past situation. You're not going to see it any differently at the moment. And you can't change that. But you can change your present, and that can change your future. Well, obviously changes your future. And part of that is getting your emotional state in balance, right? Now, the good news is, for October, we have the Sun. Now, this is the card of Leo, and it's a card that speaks, well, it's the most positive card in the deck, right? It radiates pure joy. And it feels like there's a subtle change in your thinking for the month of October. And I don't think that you're necessarily going to be, you know, running around and doing little dances and jigs and stuff like that. But there's a clarity of thought that comes through here, right? Now, whether that's because you're totally releasing, and actually I don't think you are totally releasing what has gone before. I think that some of it will remain. But there's, you know, it's very present energy, the Sun. May pull another card, because I've got an overwhelming feeling that there's going to be some sort of catalyzing event that causes you to kind of stop and look at where you are and go, right, how long have I got left on this planet? 20 years, 30 years, 40 years? Am I going to continue in this vein for the rest of that? Or is actually life short and I need to, you know, be grateful for what I've got and then work to create the kind of life that I actually want, rather than mourning the life that I lost before, you know? And about the Sun. Page of Wands. Ooh. Nine of Swords. Sun. Oh, two out together here. Yeah, I think what it is, it feels like there's something that happens, and this may be a conversation, or it may be something that you know, crops up from somewhere, and it feels like a stop. It's a pause. And for just a moment, you can kind of step out of yourself. You can detach just a little bit to kind of look objectively at what you're doing and who you are, right? And for some of you, the feelings of rejection that you are still trying to work, we're still trying to work through, but I'm going to say overthinking, actually, Virgo, is really a thing. For some of you, it's a feeling of, you know, abandonment. For others of you, it could be that there are people around you who are trying to support you and you don't actually see it for what it is at the moment, right? Because you are so stuck in this energy that kind of people are coming and going and you're not really engaging in the way that you should do. But I feel like you see that this month. You step back and that objectivity kicks in and you're like, wow, holy shit, I have been sinking for a little while here. We've got the devil at the bottom of the deck, right? And that's all sorts of toxic behaviours, you know, potentially. But the underlying message of the devil card for me is fear, right? You realise how fear has been holding you prisoner. Yeah? Got the judgment card underneath the devil and the 5 of Pentacles. Like, you have not been meeting your basic needs, right? And from this, we can cover everything from eating. Are you eating, Virgo? Are you eating properly? Are you staying hydrated? Are you getting outside and you're exercising? How is your mental health doing at the moment, right? Are you actually aware of it enough to be able to see when you are having a bad day, or are they all bad days at the moment? These are questions that you need to be able to be objective enough to answer honestly. I mean, some of you may be feeling the pinch financially, but it really does feel like it's different. It's the kind of lack of taking care of yourself that comes from not really being present in your body at all. And I think a lot of you are living in the past and you are overthinking all of this stuff. The good news is that you do have a really good emotional support network around you, should you choose to avail yourself of it. And maybe you have been doing, but maybe you haven't really appreciated the depth of emotion that is behind that support network and behind those people that are trying to help you. The Page of Wands here. It feels like, I want to say, a new lease of life, exactly. It could be a new person coming in, but it doesn't really feel like it is. It feels like it's established people around you, that you finally understand what it is that they've been trying to show you for the last few months, right? The 2 clarifying cards are the King of Swords and the Knight of Swords. Both cards that talk about really clearly seeing something, right, objectively. And kind of not exactly putting the emotions to one side, but I do feel like you've got this kind of schlepping out of your body just for a second and seeing everything with really clear eyes. Now, the good thing about that is when you are not totally consumed with whatever it is that's been making you, you know, be in this overthinking frame of mind, then suddenly the path forward does really become a lot clearer. And I feel like there are actually a lot of blessings around you that you haven't really noticed at the moment, right? Practicing gratitude is a really good way of kind of bringing that to the attention of your subconscious, because your subconscious has been completely consumed with something else at the moment, right? Taking just a minute to count those blessings around you. You know, the old adages are the best. Count your blessings, bring them into your conscious awareness so that you notice them, right? King of Wands. Yeah. Where you have been stuck, speaking of counting your blessings, right, there's another Leo card there. It's the Strength card, right? You are stronger than you think you are, right? You may have a Leo around you who is being, you know, that shoulder for you to cry on, or that rock for you to lean on, right? But are you really appreciating what it is that they're giving? For those of you who don't have Leos around you, then that Leo energy, right, of resilience and strength is something that you actually have access to, but you haven't given yourself credit for it at the moment. When I clarified the King of Swords and the Knight of Swords, I got the King of Wands and the Nine of Cups here. Now this is interesting because there's a lot of action going on here, where you have felt like you were going through the motions on autopilot, right? Kind of doing things, but not even really noticing that you were doing them. You just, you know, get up, feed the kids, do your work, come home, stare at a wall, all that kind of thing, you know, however it applies to you. Bringing yourself back to the present is giving you a roadmap. It's giving you a way forwards, and you see it in October, right? We've got the King of Wands there. He is the king that I most associate with any kind of movement, right? Of all of the kings, the rest of the kings are all a bit static, but this one's moving, right? And do you know what? He doesn't always have a terribly well thought out plan, but he has drive and he has motivation, and those are two things that you have been missing recently, right? The Nine of Cups, I feel like, is you really taking responsibility for your own happiness and your own mental health, right? It feels like ownership, right? The nines speak to me of individuals, right? It's all about you and your relationship to your own happiness, your emotional health, and, you know, all of that kind of thing. And instead of being consumed by a situation, now you kind of get it. Like, this is a kind of counting your blessings sort of card for me. I mean, some people call it the wish card, but I don't find that a little bit flat. It's for me, it's all about your relationship with your happiness, right? If somebody else has made you feel miserable in action or inaction, right, you choose to respond to it the way that you do, right? Which means that you can choose to respond to it differently. Now, where it's something, well, let's face it, right, Virgo, you have been dealing with themes of loss this year, and I've done enough personal readings for Virgos to know that wheels between divorce of long, you know, from long-standing, you know, established relationships right through to bereavement. The reaction can be the same. It's just that it's a sliding scale of loss, right? I think that a lot of you have gotten very, very stuck in this energy, right? And the intentions and the motivations, such as you've been able to muster, have been pure. Right? They want to go in the right direction, but your brain has been sabotaging you all of this time, right? And it's been making you think about things over and over again. It's been making you stew on things. It's been making you roll over stuff over and over again, right? This is completely bypassing your brain, your intellectual understanding of things. It's going from the heart, it's taking responsibility, and it's taking action, right, to rectify this. And this sits underneath here, right? So this action from the heart here is now feeding into your 3D brain. It's feeding into your intellectual understanding of the situation, and it's allowing you to get objective. It's allowing you to make changes. I think that this is a really important month for you, Virgo, actually. And I think to a degree, some of you are going to be a little bit shocked about where you find yourself when you do take that step back and look at where you are, and you're like, holy shit, right? I am not eating properly. I'm not drinking properly. I'm not engaging with people. I'm not really here half of the time. It's about pulling it all back to yourself. Just want to say the Queen of Cups and the Six of Pentacles that were at the bottom of here, right? This is open, receptive energy. I think that whilst you may have had people around you, I don't think that you have been entirely receptive to the healing energy that they have been trying to bring in, right? And I don't think you've closed yourself off to them deliberately. I think it's just been an accidental byproduct of the state that you found yourself in while you've been trying to heal from whatever's been going on, right? And we do shut down, like when something traumatizing happens, we do shut down. This month is all about opening up off the back of this objective moment that you have, right? And it's bringing balance back here. It's also, the Six of Pentacles also talks about, you know, charity. And I'm not suggesting that you are charity, but I am suggesting that you are a case of somebody who needs emotional support, and people around you have recognized that you haven't. And I think that when you do, it helps you turn a corner, right? So if this has resonated with you at all, there's going to be an extended. The link is down in the description box. I'm going to go over to Vimeo now. I'm going to kind of pry around in this a little bit more and see if we can't pull some more stuff out, and we usually do. So if you want to join me there, that's marvellous, and I will see you in a second. If not, I should be back for the mid-months. Just keep an eye out for this, right? I do think October's going to be a pivotal month for you. It's definitely going to see a change of direction, and it's going to be from you, right? It's not a change of direction that happens at you. It comes from within, and that's important, right? So I love you all very much. I'll see you soon.